Your late teenage years to your early 20s are some of the most important years of your life. Because those years are the foundations, are the foundational blocks that will build that will be the foundation for the years to come, to your late 30s and late 40s. If you do not build that solid foundation, if you waste these years away, you will end up living all the way up to your 30s and 40s miserably. So listen closely.
I think we all have to go into and just trust us to like.
So I was watching a video of actualize.org about he made a video with that exact topic of life advice for young people, and I found it very interesting. I thought like, well, a lot of these aspects I wish other people knew more about, and all of my clients that I've had to help, they sort of have the same exact 12 problems that I'm going to outline to you here. And they're always the same problems. And I was wondering, well, might as well do a video on all of it, right? Right. So they hit a point of crisis, between the age 18 to 25, or even all the way up to 30s, to their 30s. They hit a point of crisis where they just don't know what's next to do. Maybe they don't know what their purpose is, or maybe they don't know what they want to do as a career, and they feel like pressure to do to go in a certain area. And that maybe that's not what they want to do, and they don't know what's good for them. So you want to listen to these 12 things if you feel like this relates to you in a way in your life, and you're not sure where to go next, right? Or if you're going through a quarter life crisis, this is perfect for you. So the number one tip, which is pretty much one of the most important tips of all, okay? And if you listen to this one tip alone, honestly, pretty much like you could live a good life in your 20s, right? Pretty much that. The number one tip that I have for you is to stop living up to your parents' expectations, and to stop living up to society's expectations. Simple as that, right? A lot of people, they believe that they gotta live up to a certain way of life that, that's been laid out. You gotta go to school, and you have to get that 9-to-5 job, get a good family, get a good house and all that. And they believe all this narrative. Even if that narrative is not made for them, they believe that they have to live up to this narrative, or else they are a piece of shit, right? If there are women, especially women in their sort of mid to late 20s, they feel extremely pressured to get married and get a house for some reason and get a kid. And I've had that a few times on certain calls. And I'm not a woman, okay? So maybe I don't get that. I don't know, but I was always curious, like as a man, well, why do women feel that need, like at a certain point in life? Well, I gotta settle, I could get married and all that. It's sort of like this. And it doesn't seem like it's a need that they truly want. It seems like it's more of an expectation that is set out by society that they want to live up to, more than it is a genuine need for yourself, right? And those expectations that are set by society or your parents, really, they're just made to make you feel worse about yourself. Honestly, expectations exist in that matter only to make you feel worse about yourself, right? For example, me, I'm in my my mid-20s right now, and I don't have a house. I'm still renting. I have a part-time job that doesn't pay that much. I have my coaching program, my coaching business, which is great, but I'm not fucking married. I'm not even thinking about marriage. I don't have any kids, and I finished university. I didn't even get a work in my university field, right? I just went to work at that stuff on some fucking call center, and I don't give a shit. And even my parents now are trying to pressure me. Oh, you should buy a condo, you should buy a house now. You have money, I can help you make the payments, and they want me to settle down, right? And I'm just like, no. I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. And you got to look at this for yourself, right? Because nobody knows what's best for you other than you. Nobody knows what's best for you more than you do. You know what's best for you, so why don't you listen to yourself instead of listening to others? So that's my first tip for you. The number 2 tip that I have for you is stop trying to be cool or popular. Stop trying to be cool or popular. And you might think that, oh well, this is something like you tell to fucking high school kids and teenagers. You don't tell that to adults. Well, you'd be surprised now, but I feel like a lot of young adults now are trying to be cool and popular, especially now with Instagram and Facebook. And maybe it's not at a conscious level. They're not trying to do it consciously, okay? But unconsciously, they don't know that they're doing it, right? Unconsciously, consciously they say, oh, I don't care about being cool, I just do my thing. But unconsciously what they do, right, is they pose on Instagram, or they try to put that best picture of them, like, yeah, GG got the best job ever, like as a lawyer, look at my car. They do this shit unconsciously and they don't realize it. So my advice to you is stop trying to be cool. No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit about your car. No one gives a shit about your fancy new job. No one gives a shit, right? And I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm saying that to encourage you to start looking at more important things than how you look, right? To start looking at more important things than how you portray yourself, right? And me, I feel like I'm over this now, but when I was a bit younger, right, like in my college years, I try to be more popular, try to have more friends and try to make a lot of friends. And I thought, that would, make me happier or make me more cool, whatever. And I realized it didn't make me happy. It didn't improve my life in any other way. Actually, me making way more friends actually made my life worse, because I had to maintain all these friendships with people I didn't care about just to look cool. I mean, that was absolutely stupid. So I stopped doing that. So that's my advice for you. The third tip I have for you as a young person is to listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. As cheesy as it sounds, or as simple as it sounds, just listen to what your gut is telling you. Because your whole when you're young, okay, like you have these aspirations, when you're like sort of in kindergarten or a kid, like, oh, I want to be a firefighter, I want to do this, I want to do that. And even when you're in elementary school, like, oh, when I grow up, maybe I want to become like this famous actor or whatever. And as you grow older, this sort of voice in your head starts telling you, you know what, maybe you can't. You know what, maybe you should just get a job. You know what, maybe I should just listen to what my dad told me. And that voice starts creeping up. And the more that voice creeps up in your head, the less you listen to your heart and what your heart is trying to tell you, right? Listen to your emotions. What are they trying to tell you? If your heart is telling you that, you want to be an artist, you want to start a YouTube channel, and you don't care about, going to school, maybe your heart has something to say about that. Maybe you should listen to it, because your whole life, I'm telling you, your whole life, the older you get, the harder it will be to get back in touch with that childhood self, or that your heart that is telling you the truth of what you truly want for your life. Because your whole life, okay, as you grow older, society and your parents, they'll or whatever, who else will tell you, right? They'll try to make you conform to a certain mold, right? Or maybe at work, you're gonna find a 9-to-5 job, and the culture in that job is that you stay there your whole life, and you sit down and you work in that office cubicle your whole life, and that's the culture there, and you're gonna get sucked into that. And while you get sucked into that, you have to always remember to listen to your heart, so you don't end up miserable. You don't end up living a life that you don't want. So listen to your heart. The next tip that I have for you as a young person, is to go out there and make mistakes. Go out there, take a risk, make a bunch of mistakes and learn from them. Because you're young now, right? You don't have any sort of huge responsibilities, like you don't have a kid to feed, right? Unless you had a kid at like 16 years old and you work at Tim Hortons, you kind of fucked up there. Sorry bro, but anyways, no judgment there, by the way. I mean, if you don't have, most likely you don't have these responsibilities yet, okay? So if you don't have these responsibilities yet, then it's time for you to just go out there, start that business that you want. If there's this cute girl in class that you want to talk to her, take a risk, and see what happens. Just pick something. You pick something you want to be really good at and try to be world class at it, whether it be basketball or whatever, dodgeball or ping pong ball or whatever ball or whatever you want to get good at. Just try to get good at something, try to be good at it. If it's shooting YouTube videos, do it. Whatever it is, just take a risk. And you're gonna make mistakes. People are gonna laugh at you. Your parents are gonna say, "Oh, why are you doing this? Why don't you just go to school and just be a normal person? Why do you have to do this weird YouTube stuff and wear a mask on the internet and like pretend you're Batman or something?" Right? Don't listen to that crap. Do it. Just do it. You're young. You can make mistakes. You can afford to make mistakes. And maybe some shit is gonna happen to you. Doesn't matter. Just go out there, make mistakes. Make mistakes. Of course, don't make irreparable mistakes, like, for example, getting $20,000 in debt still working at McDonald's. Okay, don't do stupid shit like that. But make mistakes that you can easily recover from. Make mistakes that won't matter if you make a mistake, right? So if you put yourself out there on TikTok, you make a dance, you're trying to become, I don't know, grow a following or whatever, you want to become a professional dancer, and people laugh at you, well, that's not that big of a deal. Just do another video, right? Take more risk. Number 5 tip that I have for you for a young person is to take responsibility for your life. Simple as that. Take responsibility, because a lot of people when they're young, they get into this really bad habit of blaming the external world, blaming the financial institutions, blaming the government, blaming whatever, their parents or whatever it is. They blame the external world, and that follows them their whole life. They get into this bad habit that always putting responsibility on the system or society or whatever is the problem, right? They put the responsibility back on the system, and they're left with no responsibility of their own. Right. Me, who's worked at a collections agency, people who are always in credit card debt, I see this every single day that I work. People not taking responsibility for their finances, not taking responsibility for their divorce. And they say, "Oh, I'm fucking late because I have a fucking divorce. Will you leave me alone? Please stop calling me." I mean, why did you get divorced in the first place? Right? No, it's not because you had bad luck. It's because probably you had shitty relationship skills. And it's probably because of that. So you have to take responsibility for your situation in life. If you don't take responsibility, what you're saying is that the world has control over you and you have no control over your life. Is that what you want? That's not what you want, because if you give up your control when you're young, who tells you that when you're 30 or 40 or 50 that you'll get that control back? Yeah, okay, maybe you get a bit more money. Instead of making 20K per year, maybe you'll make 50K per year, maybe you have a bit of a raise. But no, you won't. So take responsibility right now. The next tip that I have for you, if you're a young person, is learn to live frugally. Yeah, to give you a bit of my story, I think you're gonna find it interesting, but when I started Nameless, I was still living with my parents, and then I decided I wanted to move out because I want to get my life more seriously. So then I moved out into this room that is basically, it's not even a room. It's the living room that we transform into a room. We just put a stupid curtain over it, and basically it was small, like the size of a bathroom almost. It was extremely small, and could barely do anything in it. It basically had enough room for one single bed and my computer desk. That's it. It only had room for that, and I lived in that room for a year and a half. Right, a year and a half, and this taught me a lot, right? Because some people would come into my room. My roommate would always throw a party, a potluck every month, and people would see my room and be like, "Oh shit, man, that's really small. I can't believe you can live in that." Only one person said that, I think. But anyways, I became more accustomed to that room with time and time, and I was happy with that room. I was genuinely very happy living in that shitty ass room, and now when I moved to a bigger room, now it just made me much better, much happier, much better off. And I was, by living frugally like this, spending very little on rent and little on food and all that, I learned how to, I learned how to manage my finances better. I learned how to save. I learned how to live on less. And learning how to live frugally is such an invaluable skill, especially when you're young. Why? Because when you're young, you have no money. Let's face it. When you're young, you have a lot of energy. You had a lot of time. You don't have a lot of money, right? That's what happens when you're young. So by living frugally, you developing that skill of getting by with less. So then later in life, when you actually, need to make that huge purchase, and maybe when there's another recession or whatever, you have the ability to live on less. You'll be able to, I don't know, eat ramen and survive on that, and live on shitty rent and stop ordering, skip the dishes or Uber Eats, for a month, and you'll be fine. And you stop ordering stupid shit on Amazon and you'll be fine, right? That's a skill you want to develop. So learn to do that. So so what I recommend for you, if you want to move out or whatever, find the shittiest apartment you can ever find. Find a shitty place, not too, at least make sure you have like running water and shit like that. Of course, like have the necessities, but find a cheap place, right? That's not the best, and learn to live in that place. Learn to, embrace that place, and be proud to see your bank account go up because you're saving that money, right? Learn these things, and like reinvest that money into a business, or reinvest that money into education that will help you become smarter, or become more more knowledgeable, or acquire some training so that you can make more money later. If you learn to live minimalistically like that, the same way I've done, you're going to realize the happiness in the small things. You're going to learn to be happy about, maybe you don't have the best apartment, but you have this nice cup of tea that you can drink in the morning, and you have your journal that you can journal in. You have your computer that, it's not the best computer, but you can work at that computer, and you live on your own, and is that great? Right? So you find that gratitude in the small things also. The next tip that I have for you is to start doing the things that you love early. Start doing the thing that you love early, like now. Because there's some people that, for example, it's crazy thing, like my sister, she's like, she works at a bank, the same bank as me, by the way. She's not doing what she loves, and I can see it in her face that basically she doesn't really like her job, and it's kind of sad. I didn't tell her that, but I can tell like she's settling. I ask her, what do you think about the job, and she's like, well, it's fine. It's not the best job, but it's fine. I make pretty good money. I can live with my husband, and my goal is so that I save enough money so when I'm 55 I can just travel the world and have fun. And I told her, well, why don't you fucking do that now while you're young? Why don't you travel now? Why? Well, first, now with COVID and all that, but we had this talk a few months ago, but I was like, why don't you do that now? Why do you have to wait until you're 55, right? And I don't know, it just didn't click in her head. Why does she have to wait to live life? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Live life now. What are the things that you love? Okay. You gotta start doing what you love early, because the longer that you wait, the harder that it will become. For example, me, I started my YouTube channel 6 years ago or something like that, right? 5 to 6 years ago. Now I can start making some income already, right? If I would have started this at age 55, then I'd be on my deathbed when I can start making money and make a living, whatever. So I started early. Whatever you want to do, start it now, because it's gonna take you some time, right? Whatever you want to do as a business or career that you love, do it now, because it's gonna take some time. It can take a few years, sometimes several years, before you really get the ball rolling. When I say start doing what you love early, even things like partying or going out and meeting people, you want to do that while you're young, because when you're older, you can't do that anymore, right? You want to live your life, go on these crazy adventures, do some bungee jumping, whatever, while you're still young. The next tip that I have for you, for a young person, is to envision the future, right? I just give you tips on do the things that you love, party, have fun, but the problem with that, if you take this too far, is that a lot of millennials now, what they do is that they really focus on the hedonistic pleasures, right? The having fun right now. And the problem with that is that they don't envision what could be good for them in the future. They don't think about, what they could be doing 10 years from now, or how they want their life to look like when they're older. And the problem with that is that you don't set a proper foundation for the years to come. And what happens with these people is, I get that at my work, every single day that I work, is like they're like 26, 27, they have like $30,000 in debt, they're divorced, whatever, and they can't do anything with their life, and they're stuck at a shitty job now, especially now with the recession of COVID. It's absolutely horrible what's happening to them, and they can't find a job, and they're going to be stuck for the next 10 years of their life. 10 years of their life to repay that $30,000. So for 10 years of their life, they will be fucked financially. Imagine, so you're 27, all the way up to 37, there's fucking nothing you can do about your finances. It's pretty much nothing you can buy because you're stuck repaying that debt. Right? That's because those people, they don't envision the future. They just want things now. They want to buy things now, be happy now. And when they do that now, you're going to pay back for the future, right? So you want to have fun now, you want to have a party now, drink now. Well, guess what? You're going to pay back tomorrow when you'll be hangover and you won't be able to perform at your job or perform at your business. So that's something to think about. The next tip, very important tip that I have for you for a young person, okay, in your early 20s or late teenage years, is learn about relationships, right? If you're a guy, if you're into girls, learn about relationships with women. If you're a girl, you're into guys, learn about relationships with men. Okay? Because I get so many comments or so many calls that are like, they talk about, oh, I have a problem with my relationship. My boyfriend, he's a narcissist. He beats me or whatever, or like he verbally abuses me. And I've been with him for 12 years, and I don't know how to change him. Well, first of all, you can't change an asshole like that. Like, fuck him. First of all, sorry to say, but that's a topic for a different video. But basically, you have to learn about relationships. Learn about what kind of person you like, right? Experiment, go on different dates, go meet different guys. You maybe, okay, this guy's stupid, this guy, I like this guy, oh, this guy, man, sort of, maybe I like this about this guy, but I prefer this type of person, maybe. So you have to experiment and look at what kind of person you like, right? Same for guys, experiment and see, ask yourself, what kind of girlfriend do you want? Look for that, okay? And maybe that you meet that type of person that you thought that was the ideal partner, but it ends up that they're fucking crazy in their head and they're stupid, and that's not what you want. So then you start shifting your taste and you realize what you truly want. And besides that, not only do you realize what you want, but also realize, develop honest communication, learn how to communicate sincerely with the other person, so that you can build a healthy relationship. Because so many young people, they don't know how to communicate. When there's a problem, they don't know how to communicate it. They sweep it under the rug. They become passive aggressive, and then toxicity happens. Okay, and that's a huge problem because this follows them in adulthood, and then they become toxic as adults. They become like those 30 or 40-year-olds that basically are real life trolls, real life haters. Those haters on YouTube, right? There's actually people who are like that in real life. You know that, right? Because they become toxic. They don't know how to relate with other people on a genuine human level, and they feel the need to take out on them. So maybe they call the customer service and they fucking complain and scream. I mean, those people actually exist. Fucked up people like that actually exist, right? And I feel like it's because they don't build up the necessary social relationship skills in order to stop being like that. So they end up like that. The next step that I have for you is to learn self-discipline early, right? Learn self-discipline right now, right? Start eating healthy now. Start exercising now, because the older you get, the harder it will be to develop these muscles. And you want to get started early with like meditation, journaling if you want, exercising, working on the business, studying, all these good habits. You want to implement them while you're young, because these positive habits will compound, like compound interest, and it will give you benefits down the line, right? So me, I've been meditating for at least 10 years, almost every day, not every day, but almost every day for the last 10 years. And I can say that this has really, really helped me with awareness, with, being present to the moment and being in the flow, being, unreactive, being more present, grounded to the moment. This has really helped me the last 10 years. And if I would have started meditation only today or yesterday, well, I wouldn't have the same capacity of being present to the moment, of being okay with my emotions, of being present with myself. Because I've started this habit 10 years ago. Now imagine if you get a 10-year exercise habit, right? Me, for example, I've been working out for at least 8 years, okay? 8 years, like every week pretty much I've been working out 2 to 3 times per week for the last 8 years. With, of course, certain weeks that I skipped. For the last 8 years I've been working out, and this has compounded. And imagine if I would have spent the last 8 years not meditating, not exercising, none of that, where would I be now? I don't know. I don't think I would have had the mental energy to start a business or a YouTube channel. I don't think I would have had the sort of the vitality to put myself out there and speak on camera. Maybe, I don't know. Like these small habits just compound, and they make your life just better overall. So start now. I know how tempting it is to just click off that video and just order that next Amazon stupid thing you don't need, or buy that new video game and forget about your life. I know how tempting it is, but you have to believe me on that. Because 5 to 10 years down the road, when you still know where you want to go in life, then you'll remember what I said. So you want to avoid that at all costs, and you want to start today. The next tip that I have for you is to expect things to change. Expect your life to change and evolve. Expect your plans to change. My story, if you haven't heard of it already, is that, I went to go to film school and I got rejected to film school because, I don't know, they didn't like my resume, they didn't like my demo reel, whatever. I got rejected from film school. And, I clung to this dream of becoming a film director and all that. And, things just changed. And then I decided to take a different path where instead of trying to become a famous film director or try to, become famous in the industry and, kiss the ass of producers and kiss their shoe and all that and kiss their ass so I can climb up the ladder, I decided that I was just going to do my thing with Nameless. And now who knows, maybe I'm even more fulfilled than if I were to have gone the other route. Yeah, maybe I'm even more happy than if I were to follow my original dream. And things just change with time. You have to let it happen. Your plans will change, but that's fine, okay? Maybe you have a plan right now of, you want to achieve this success. You go towards that, and on your way towards that success, you find a different objective and a different goal that's even better. It's totally fine to change. And change will happen constantly. Because the only constant in life is change. Nothing is constant. And the last tip that I have for you is to realize what you have to offer to the world. Realize that you have something to offer the world. You have a contribution to give to the world. There's certain things you can give to the world. And maybe you don't believe in that yet. And maybe you believe that there's nothing I can really offer. I mean, I'm just this 18-year-old kid. What am I going to do? There's things you can do. And you can find a way to make it happen. You can find a way to put yourself out there, put your passions out there, and help the world. And you have to believe in yourself first, because nobody else will believe in you. The only person that will give you belief in yourself is you. Start with that belief in yourself and start taking action towards your goals. So in summary, basically, you want to live a life of your own choosing. You want to live a life aligned with who you are and your own values and the things that you value. You don't want to listen to other people's expectations, okay? You want to start building good habits when you're early, and you also want to live your life and be present to the moment, okay? All of these things together, and also you want to plan for the future. All of these things all matter. And if you need help with that, if you need help with finding what truly matters to you, your passion, your purpose, or whatever, you can book a free consultation call with me, link in the description below. And if you like this video about life advice for young people, then you're going to love this video here about how to move out of your parents' house. So I'll see you there. All millennials around the world living in a first world country should not be living with their parents. Period. Why? Because living with your parents really becomes a comfort